Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show, discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and what a night. The first round of the 2021 NFL Draft came and went, and oh boy did it deliver. We had teams move up for quarterbacks, Mac Jones just became extremely easy to hate, and the Dolphins brought in two explosive players with their picks. And we're going to get into the drafting of Alabama wideout Jaylen Waddle at 6 and defensive end Jaelan Phillips out of the U at pick 18. We're also going to look forward to tonight and look at some options in rounds 2 and 3 for Miami. With some needs already addressed, where else should Chris Grier look to build up this roster for contention this season? Let's dive in.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama. With the 18th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jaelan Phillips, defensive end, Miami.
All right, there you go.
The draft began following Kings of Leon, which I was not expecting, and the picks that followed weren't completely expected either. I mean, 1 and 2 went scripted, right? Lawrence headed to Duval, ready to lose more games in 1 month than he has in his entire collegiate career. I mean, look, the kid never lost in high school, and he only ever lost in the college football playoffs. So September's about to be a pretty rough month for him, right? And Zach Wilson, he's tasked with turning around a dumpster fire in New York. So good luck to the both of them. But then things got spicy. We had been hearing that the Niners preferred Mac Jones, and we had discussed it on the pod. It just never made sense to me. Mac Jones is limited, and considering what San Francisco gave up to get to 3 from pick 12, nabbing Jones would have been a whiff. However, that's what all signs were pointing to. The media was pushing that narrative, and to be honest, by signs, I generally mean Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport's specific reports, which indicated that. But despite going with Lance in my first mock draft a few weeks ago, I just couldn't see them going with Mac Jones. I eventually succumbed. I fell to the pressure and then went with Mac Jones in the latest mock draft just a few days ago. But Kyle Shanahan was right. We really have no idea what's going to be happening tomorrow or the day after, because despite some seemingly unnecessary misdirection, now that they took Lance, I don't really know why there was all that confusion. I don't know if they were worried that maybe the Jets would fall in love with Lance or something, but hey, they decided to go with the supremely talented Trey Lance at pick number 3, and I think they're going to be rewarded for it. He should sit all of 2021, like Mahomes did his rookie season, and soak up all the knowledge that he can from Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo while he's still there. Then, with a complete understanding of this offense, it's complicated, but it really does help a quarterback and gets the ball out quickly and gets it to the playmakers in space. We've seen that from the 49ers, and when Jimmy was running that ship tightly, the Niners were hard to stop offensively. Remember a couple of years ago in their Super Bowl run, the offense was humming. So if you can add a guy like Lance, that can take it to a whole different level. And with those 2 off seasons, right? So he gets this off season to learn, adjust to the speed of the game, and then next off season most likely as the presumed starter. Then coming into 2022, he'll explode onto the scene. And the 49ers may have hit a home run with this one, which is good on them for making the right pick too after giving up the farm to come up to 3. And again, we'll never know. We will find out in a few years whether these picks were right or wrong. But I'm sorry, just Mac Jones at 3, that would have been wild. However, the fact that Trey Lance was taken at 3 instead of Mac Jones actually turned out poorly for Miami. It did not push better quarterbacks down the board. Now the best and probably high ceiling quarterback was gone, meaning teams were going to take the best players available. And that happened immediately after. Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase went back-to-back, promptly snatched up by Atlanta at 4 and Cincinnati at 5. And then the Dolphins were on the clock. And if you're a listener of the show, then you may remember who I thought would not only be great fits, but the right value for Miami at 6, right? In this situation, with Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase gone, Penei Sewell and Micah Parsons come to mind, right? I just felt that the best move likely in that scenario would also have been to trade back and regroup. Here's actually a clip from yesterday's show on my thoughts regarding taking Waddle at 6. So, can Waddle be an impactful player? Absolutely. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bust. He likely will be damn good. But I just don't think he's impactful enough for the Dolphins to have moved back in the top 10 for. If that's the case, and that was the guy they identified and gave up a future first for, honestly, I'm disappointed. So firstly, I'm an idiot. And to be fair, I have never said otherwise. I was shocked, though, when the Dolphins selected Jaylen Waddle 6th overall over his Heisman-winning teammate Devonta Smith and over immediate starting tackle Penei Sewell. And let's start with the type of player that Waddle is, the pros of the selection. Jaylen Waddle is the fastest and most explosive receiver in this class. There's a reason that you heard Tyreek Hill comparisons. The man can flat out fly. Not just fly, but his acceleration and ability to adjust his speed mid-route is elite. Starting and stopping, flipping his hips and running in the opposite direction nearly instantly, he's extremely gifted as an athlete. His speed allows him to gain separation and pull away from defenders with the ball in his hands too, and then separation is something that the Fins were lacking in spades, as we all can recall. So he's also an asset in the kicking game, and his return ability does make Jakeem Grant's time in Miami appear all but over. Sorry, little buddy. We're going to save a little money doing it. But Jaylen Waddle is a dynamic, explosive, and high-ceiling slot receiver. And therein lies my issue with this pick. Like I mentioned in the clip from yesterday, Jaylen Waddle can be good. But I'm sorry, the Dolphins deemed this man worthy of 2 first-rounders. He was that important for them. They needed to secure him so badly that they give Philadelphia their own first next year to jump up and take Waddle. While Philly, after just slightly jumping up with over the Giants, happily sat there and took Devonta Smith while also having the Dolphins' 2022 first-round pick in their pocket. This is just about value for me. That's my only real issue here. Because, look, I don't have a ton of problems with the player and what he can develop into. But in order for this pick, a speed receiver in the top 10, to be worth it 3-4 years down the line, Waddle's going to have to be a Pro Bowl level receiver. That's minimum, potentially top 10 receiver in the league. You took him 6th overall. And look, off the top of my head, I can't recall speed specialists who go in the top 10 generally faring well. John Ross, if Waddle develops into a fine piece, right, a solid receiver, then the move is still not worth it. The move up was not worth it. I would rather have stayed at 12, seen what the board offered, and kept 2 future firsts for next season, right? Your own, and then the one that's gained from the 49ers. Look, that's just me. Most of you are probably thrilled that I'm nowhere near the decision makers in Davie because they vehemently disagree with me. Clearly. And that's what we're going to get into. What did the Dolphins see in Jaylen Waddle as a player, and how is he going to help spur our offense this season? Why was he the one picked over Devonta Smith or even a Rashad Bateman if we took Penei Sewell and took Bateman at 18? He was clearly available there, right? So this pick, Jaylen Waddle, was about filling a specific need, right? With the hiring of George Godsey and Eric Studsville, it seems that Miami wants to go towards a more collegiate-style offense, which is, it sounds bad saying collegiate, but it's really just the modern way, very innovative offense, right? With pre-snap motions, a lot of shotgun and 4 to 5 receiver sets, misdirection not only in the running game, but within your passing concepts and your overall route tree as well. Not to mention making sure to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands really quickly and to the right spot. Kind of a mixture of the pistol and West Coast. That's kind of what we're seeing right now, using spacing and making sure you can get dynamic guys in that space so they can then rack up the yards after the catch, right? And in order to execute this style of offense well, you need, this offense is a more dynamic, attack through the air style approach. Then you need players, right, who can fulfill specific roles because this offense calls for those specific responsibilities. We just didn't have the assets or the players, not assets, to be able to fill these responsibilities. So you want your outside guy, the physical receiver, right, who can bully opposing corners all day. And this guy is reliable in the red zone, possesses great hands, primarily runs routes on the outside. You never really kick him into slot. He's productive, right? And the size on the outside lets you take deep shots with more comfort. It's a different type of thing. Not every single deep shot needs to be speed. We saw Devontae Parker do very well by just throwing it up. And having a receiver like that forces them to respect it, especially games where that type of receiver is on, right? So despite less than stellar separation from a guy like Devontae Parker, that's still a role that you need. And now that's something that Preston Williams also is going to be assigned to, being an outside guy, most likely spelling Devontae Parker, right? They don't have the speed to be burners, but they don't need to be. That's not what they're going to be asked to do. Plays are going to be designed in this offense that are specifically made for a certain player. plays are going to be specifically called, not just regular plays where Tua is going to sit back. It's going to be called to attack the defense. And the best way to do that is by having different skill type of guys. So we got that possession receiver on the outside, the big, tall, powerful guy. But opposite those guys, you want speed. Someone who can create space for everyone else on the field by pulling coverage. But on the same token, you want this guy to utilize his speed to take deep shots downfield and keep the defense honest. So when this guy's working on a Sunday, the cushion opposing defenses give due to that fear of the receiver's speed and the respect they have to give it allows for easy pitch and catch situations. When a corner is getting burned all day, right, even on plays where the ball isn't coming his way, but he knows, like, damn, that guy just roasted me, they're going to have to respect it and they're going to play off. And if your speed guy is not running a straight 9 route that play, then you can do like a quick little wide receiver screen, catch the corner who's sitting 10 yards back, and throw some blockers his way too, and slice up the defense. Having multiple types of skill players allow you to be multiple in how you attack defenses. And for Miami, that was someone they did not have before. That guy is Will Fuller. And that outside speed threat is what you hope Jaylen Waddle can develop into and become. You hope he makes the re-signing of Fuller, who remembers only here on a 1-year deal. You hope that is unnecessary because Waddle's shown you enough where, hey, we can put him on the outside and he can take that role. Then, of course, you want a tight end who can take advantage of any ensuing mismatches, create pressure on the defense over the middle of the field. This not only opens things back up for the 2 guys on the outside, but it also lifts the defense as you attack the seam, leaving ample room over the middle and underneath. And that is where this season, Jaylen Waddle comes in. Last season, due to our personnel at receiver, lack thereof, the Dolphins mostly lined Preston Williams and Devontae Parker on the outsides, right? 2 of the same type of guys. Not burners, no speed there. With a rotation of Jakeem Grant, and by the end of the season, Lynn Bowden in the slot. And that's just not good enough. Simply put, defenses aren't respecting you over the top with 2 big but average level speed guys. And when they don't respect you over the top, it allows defenses to start sneaking up and defenders to move up closer to the line of scrimmage in the box. And then they take away any dump off opportunities coming out of the flat or easy first downs with crossing routes over the middle because everyone's congested. And look, opposing defenses just didn't respect our offense and instead played up. And they were very physical on Grant and Bowden, who are the slot guys. They were given no respect. However, neither of those 2 aforementioned guys are particularly elite running after the catch, right? I still think Bowden has the potential. He did make something out of nothing a few times during the season. And look, competing with Waddle now is no doubt going to bring more out of him. But Jakeem Grant's size just limited what he was able to do when he wasn't already in space or in the open field. So there was a clear need in the slot position. Now you have a healthy rotation of Devontae Parker, Will Fuller, and Preston Williams on the outside, right? If you're playing a team that has small, skinny, receivers and corners, and you kind of want to bully them, well, then you might want to have mainly Preston Williams and Devontae Parker out there, right? If it's a situation where, no, they got big guys, but they're kind of slow, well, maybe you want to put Jaylen Waddle and Will Fuller on the outside and then maybe stick Preston, right? It gives you options. It gives you a way to attack the defense from different angles, from different places with different leverages, making sure that it maximizes your efficiency. Because when the ball does reach the player that you're trying to get it to, they can actually make something happen. So that's what Miami has been missing. So while they are able to develop Waddle in the slot this season and eventually move him to the outside when his route running is a little more refined and he's ready for that bigger role in the offense, no one's asking him to, take over right away. Look, am I thrilled about Miami taking an explosive role player in the top 10 and giving up a future first to do it? No, not at all. But this is where my perspective has shifted. When you being Chris Greer and Brian Flores, make a move like this, give up future assets to get a specific role guy, albeit a great role, a very important role, but a role guy. By doing that, what you're indicating to me is that you believe you're almost there. Like there. You're a few pieces away from putting it all together and winning some championships. And hell, if Flores believes Waddle is that piece that gets them over the top and they can really contend this season, then hell yeah, this pick will look great years from now as they hoist the Lombardi. And I'm a complete idiot. But anything short of that, a world where Jaylen becomes just a nice receiver, a nice piece to your offense, still productive, but not a game breaker, right? Not someone who takes over. Well, this was a mistake in my opinion, because you could have gotten a similar type of player, maybe not as explosive, but also not at the cost that it took to take him. Look, lucky for us, We're going to get to compare him and Devonta Smith for years to come in order to see who made the right choice, Miami or Philly, similar to how we compare Mike Gesicki to Dallas Goedert. And initially, Dallas Goedert looked like he was winning, but Mike Gesicki, that potential has started to show itself. So a similar situation is what you hope appears with Jaylen Waddle, where, yeah, maybe, he wasn't lauded as the same level prospect initially, but if you look at his skills and his physicality and his athletic skill sets, he's actually better suited for the NFL game. Look, Waddle is effective when plays, at least in college, when plays are seemingly designed to utilize his speed and get him into space. That's how Alabama ran offenses. And I think it's a good sign that Miami's going to be trying to implement some more of that, conceptual style of offense. One, they have a quarterback who lived and breathed that style of offense and clearly played at his best. So if that's what you're going to, then you might as well bring one of the most explosive weapons who was in that exact same offense, right? Most importantly, too, going back to Tua, he was thrilled with the pick, so you'll love to see that. But hey, Tua, no more excuses this season. It's time to shut the haters up. With this clear vote of confidence from the Dolphins organization, not only trading up for a weapon, but like I said, making sure that weapon was someone who has history with Tua and one that he's already comfortable with. Look, this season is all on the second-year pro from Alabama. And consider the moves that the Dolphins have made thus far. Trading out of 3 with some quarterbacks available, moving back up, not to take a quarterback, obviously, but to take his former collegiate receiver, and signing a guy like Jacoby Brissett to back him up, right, and let Fitzy walk. It's clear that the Dolphins are going all in with Tua, and that is something I can get behind. So if the Waddle selection, as high as it is to me, as bad as the value is there, makes Tua a better quarterback and as a result leads to more wins, then I'm not arguing with that. We are all Dolphins fans here, right? So their success is what we want. I just want to try to present times where the rainbows and butterflies being sold to us may not be as wonderful as they initially appear, and I worry that this could be one of those moments because it's exciting, it's sexy. When do we take skill players in the top 10? Hell yeah. Not to mention an explosive guy like Jaylen Waddle. Not to mention he played with Tua. Hell yeah. Look, I'm not trying to rain on people's parades. Be excited. I'm rooting for the guy. It's too late now. The pick is in. I'm just pointing out that, look, this regime can make mistakes. And I pray to the football gods that Waddle is far from one of them. I look forward to him making me look like an idiot. Let me know what you guys think of the Jaylen Waddle pick. Did Miami reach on it, as I feel, or are you happy that they stuck the landing and took a weapon? The first receiver Miami has taken, mind you, in the first round since Devontae Parker 7 years ago. So at this point in the draft, right, after we take Jaylen Waddle and we watch the Eagles with our pick in hand take Devonta Smith, the Heisman winner, I'm talking to myself, right? Trying to wrap my head around the Waddle pick and forcing myself to like it, getting myself to, okay, he fits some needs, we'll be okay. But look, and I'm definitely on my way there for sure. But then a funny thing happened, something that brought so much peace and tranquility to my heart. Mac Jones continued to fall. And the New England freaking Patriots selected him 15th overall. Amazing. Why? Why would they do that? Well, let's get into this real quick before we get into Jaelan Phillips at 18. Look, as today's game continues to become more and more about playmakers, not just at skill positions, but at the quarterback position itself, having a playmaker at quarterback, having a mobile or at least one with some pocket presence is a baseline necessity in the modern day and age. Once again, stubborn Bill thinks he can prove people wrong and win with a statue back there. I'm sorry to tell you, Belichick, but McCorkle Jones, yes, Mac is short for McCorkle, look it up, is no Tom Brady. I'll tell you the similarities between him and Tom Brady. We're going to run through them. Ready? He's white and he's a pocket passer. That's the list right there. What you're really getting in Mac Jones is a Kirk Cousins type. Generally accurate, decisive, right? Cerebral enough to know where to go with the ball, but now against NFL athletes, you need to make those reads and decisions in a third the amount of time that you got in college, which at Bama was a lot of time, and you're being chased by 3 times the caliber athlete. If Tua, who for years, like 3 years, was dominant at Alabama, well, two and a half, was dominant at Alabama, and then he got to the NFL, a more mobile style quarterback, albeit with an injury, and he struggled with the speed of the game, how do you think McCorkle's going to be doing back there, huh? What was Miami's defense's kryptonite last year? Mobile quarterbacks who could, by themselves, extend plays. Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen again. The Dolphins definitely struggled against these type of guys, as do most NFL teams. It's hard to contain a quarterback when you're trying to, cover your receivers. Your DBs can only hold for so long, and then the one guy who's trying to close out on the quarterback misses because you're playing against a dynamic athlete who just shuffles to the left, sprint, rolls out, makes a move, and now you're shit out of luck. But if you have someone who can't, completely different story. Ask me a question. How do you think the Dolphins fared against immobile yet accurate quarterbacks? Not sure? Ask Jared Goff and the Rams. Ask Sam Darnold and the Jets, and throw in Gardner Minshew and the Jags too. Miami eats these guys alive. So, the selection of Mac Jones ensures that New England will not be seeing elite quarterback play anytime soon. And his eventual failure, mainly at the hands of his predecessor Tua and the Dolphins, it's going to be sweet to witness. Tua gets a chance now twice a year to remind everyone why he is the cream of the crop in terms of Bama quarterbacking, as well as in the AFC East. Patriots matchups are about to be a lot more fun. Speaking of fun, things already were looking up when they took Mac Jones, and they got much, much better for me by pick 18. The Dolphins selected another Jaylen, spelled differently, Jaelan Phillips, defensive end out of Miami. In the first edition of the PhinsPod mock draft, we had Phillips slated for Miami at pick 18, but let's hear a quick clip talking about how he is overall as a player. And in the second mock, I actually had him going to the Patriots at 15. Thank God for McCorkle fixing that. And that's where we come in at pick number 18. And thank you very much, Mike Mayock, because I believe that this next guy who's about to become a Dolphin is going to be the better pro between the two Hurricane edge defenders. At pick 18, the Dolphins select Jaelan Phillips, defensive end from Miami, a very exciting edge prospect. He can develop behind Emmanuel Ogbah, sort of learn. He's a bit unrefined. He needs to sort of learn more pass rush moves, but he's really strong in the running game. He can really help in run support, and Miami needs players on the edge. And considering that need, he could honestly see significant playing time early on if he does get taken by the Dolphins here. So like I mentioned in the clip right there, Jaelan Phillips is not a completely finished product, but the product as is, pretty damn good. First, let's talk about his build. He's 6'5" and 266 pounds. He's got long, strong arms, which can hold opposing tackles and guards at the point of attack. He's got a twitchy lower body, indicating that he can still develop some secondary pass rush moves and improve in that department, which is very exciting considering right now already he's Shaq Lawson. Right now he's Shaq Lawson. He'll probably get you the same level of production in year one, but he's got athletic traits that show that he can develop that second and third move. And the best part, he's got a tenacious motor. He just pops on film. And Jaelan Phillips, in my personal opinion, is second only to Micah Parsons in rankings for defensive players available in this class. And the Dolphins got him at 18. Look, he can slide into the defensive line rotation on day one. And if you put a little weight on him, he could become even more versatile, potentially kicking in and playing inside a little bit at D-tackle if the game plan calls for it. The front seven for the Dolphins is really coming together now. And honestly, with Jaelan Phillips, within 3 years, I truly believe he has the potential to be considered one of the best defensive ends in the AFC, if not the league. Consider watching some Phillips highlights. You've earned it, and trust me, it'll make you feel so much better. He's going to replace Shaq Lawson and join the pass rush rotation alongside Emmanuel Ogbah, and he's going to start day one. Why? Because I highly doubt Jonathan Ledbetter, Nick Coe, Jason Strobridge, or Tyshawn Render are going to be able to beat him out. And just going through the depth chart right there should tell you how big of a need this was, considering the lack of talent behind Ogbah. Look, I'm not worried about Jalen's medical history either in the long run. As long as his doctors clear him, then get him out there and let's wreak some havoc. And I think Mac Jones is going to get very familiar with Jaylen relatively soon. So that wraps up the initial reaction to round one and the Dolphins' picks. Overall, when you look at it holistically and don't get hung up on value as much as I am, adding Jaylen Waddle and Jaelan Phillips is dynamite, right? Two needs and two explosive players. And look, I obviously wish some things shook out differently, but we have faith in the men leading the charge. So until they give me reason to doubt, I just won't. I expect this team to contend, though, in 2021. That's for damn sure. And the additions in this year's first round only enhance the odds of that happening if they prove to be impactful. So, looking forward to tonight. The Dolphins hold 2 second-round picks, 36th overall from the Texans, and their own, the 50th. as well as one in the third round, selection 81. So for pick 36, a relatively high second-round pick, thank you, Houston, there are still a few names on the board who could not only be of great value late in this draft, but also fill out weak points on the roster. So this is the place in the draft where you hope to find contributors and eventual starters. Second, third round. First round, you got to get guys who are going to help you day one. That if you're not doing that, your team in a few years is going to start to show. We're going to start to see that. Your roster is going to start thinning out. Round 2 and 3, this is where you hope to get guys who, coming in as rookies, can contribute and then eventually become starters. So if we're going to look at the Dolphins' needs, after adding a wide receiver at pick 6, the need is definitely lessened. But Miami could use all the help in the world, so I would not be opposed to doubling up on the position. And look, bringing in young and explosive guys is just going to elevate your room overall and everyone in it. So there's only a benefit to doubling up. Look, you want that problem. We want to be coming to the final cuts and be like, damn, we have too many. I hate this. We're going to have to cut some, and other teams are going to sign them. That's a good problem to have. Right now, we're having difficulty filling out the depth chart. So the other needs are, of course, you have right tackle, as now Robert Hunt has kicked in with the trade of Eric Flowers. So there is a clear need now at right tackle, as well as interior offensive linemen, right? So a center or a guard, ideally someone who can sort of play both, running back, of course, as well as safety and linebacker. And these would be the positions that I expect the Fins to go for later tonight. So at 36, names that jump out that are still available, Trevon Merrick, safety from TCU. I've mentioned him prior on the show, but he's an awesome coverage safety who plays downhill. A great eventual replacement for either Bobby McCain or Eric Rowe. And look, I believe he can play both roles, strong and free, but he's probably better suited at strong. There's also Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Somewhat surprising that he's still available, but hey, nabbing him at 36 is a potential steal. High upside athlete who can cover extremely well. Pair him up with Baker, Jerome Baker, and you have much better depth at the position. In terms of linemen, some names I like a lot here, and I think other Dolphins fans will like, Tevin Jenkins, the mauling right tackle who can fill that void day one. There's Landon Dickerson, the often injured center for Alabama, but one with some elite traits. If he can stay healthy in the NFL, you got yourself a damn good center. And look, it could be a reach there. He could be had at 50 because of those injury concerns, but if you want to secure a good center, pull the trigger. I have no issue with it. Walker Little, Dylan Radins, 2 offensive tackles. They'd be good picks here as well to help solidify that position. And of course, the last high-end running back available, Javonte Williams from UNC. Definitely has a running style that is not currently present on the roster. So he'd be not only a good get, but also a fan favorite. Dolphins Twitter wants a running back so badly. If Elijah Moore is there, though, receiver from Ole Miss, I know it might be a little redundant, considering that he's also an explosive slot-style receiver, but it would be one hell of a 1-2 punch to grab them both in the draft. You get Jaylen Waddle and Elijah Moore, throw them in the room. Now you can really you've elevated that slot position immensely. Jakeem Grant's gone, and Lynn Bowden's going to have a tough time cracking the roster, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, you want to have these problems. So in terms of defense, though, and linebacker specifically, at pick 36, you can't go wrong with either Nick Bolton from Mizzou or my personal favorite, Jabril Cox, linebacker from LSU. At pick 50, some names to consider are Elijah Molden, a safety from Washington. I'm big on getting a safety here. As much as I love Brandon Jones, we have aging safeties. Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain are kind of on the older side. And if one of them goes down, we're thin. And you can't have Brandon Jones sort of fill in for both of them. So having a developmental guy, someone who can also come in and in those dime packages be a defensive back on the field, that would be definitely beneficial. And look, I doubt that he does make it this far. But if he does, Elijah Molden's probably going to be gone by 50. But if he's there, the value is too good to pass up on, in my opinion. For skill players, Diami Brown from UNC pops out, as does Rondale Moore from Purdue. On the offensive line at pick 50, Miami could find really good value here for the interior offensive line spot. This is also a pretty good tackle draft. So if you feel like a top 10 tackle has fallen a little bit, other teams jumped. I mean, we saw Alex Leatherwood go by the Raiders, which, by the way, Mike Mayock, man, what are you doing? Cleveland Farrell, AJ Terrell, and now this guy? Like, what? Leatherwood's good, but he barely a top 10 tackle in my opinion. So it's pushing down some good names. So at pick 50, Miami could take a guy at the interior spot or tackle. So Landon Dickerson for center position. I think that'd be great. Or, personal favorite, Quinn Miners. He'd be an awesome fit, right? We need a center, and he's a damn good one who is undervalued due to where he played Wisconsin Whitewater. But when he came up to the Senior Bowl and showed the Dolphins coaching staff what's up and how he plays football and the butt whooping he can deliver, you know that they were impressed. And again, we saw reports about it too. So I definitely think he is a realistic possibility to be had at 50. If the fact that he's from a small school hurts and he's there at 81, pull that trigger right now. But speaking of 81, just in terms of names who are projected to be in that area and positional value, and based on what I know, Hamza Nasirildeen, safety from Florida State. Again, I'm leaning heavy on safety because the safety position in Brian Flores' defense is very versatile, right? They can come up and play in run support. They can match up with specific players. They're more like the jacks of the defense. They don't play traditional two-high or single-high safety all that often. And when they do, there's usually a little wrinkle in there. So you want to get athletes on the back end, smart, intelligent, decisive players. And Hamza Nasirildeen, I think, is that. So at pick 81, not a bad take. Ben Cleveland, OG from Georgia, offensive guard. I think Miami really could look at getting the interior boosted later in the draft. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver from USC, could be awesome if he's still available at 81. Even a Baron Browning, linebacker from Ohio State, he can come in and try to help fill that Kyle Van Noy role with Van Ginkel, and that would be a really good value pick at 81. Look, as long as Miami finds scheme fits with high upside and good athletic traits, then look, we should get a few more ballers come tomorrow night, and we will be right back to talk all about them.
The last time we saw Jaylen Waddle, he was toughing it out, limping in the national title game. You sure look good walking on this stage tonight. What was it like when you got that call?
Man, it was a dream come true. I think all the hard work that came into making this moment special just came into remembrance. So just getting that call, it just meant everything.
What are the skills you can't wait to show off to Dolphins fans?
Playmaking ability. I think that's a key reason why they draft me, to help out and try to make plays. So I'm going to do my best to try to showcase.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the PhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it, and enjoy your Friday because we got a long night of drafting ahead of us. As always, thank you to Timothy Ritchie, member of the pod and supporter of the show on Patreon. If you want more of the show, check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for that support. Please remember to like the video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or wherever it is that you're listening. Remember, the show's available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course on YouTube. Remember, subscribe just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. To continue with the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram, check us out at PhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day. That was a wild round one. Can't wait for round 2 and 3. Have a great day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.